In today's episode of Getting Geeky with Gamerleaf, I sit down with Jennifer to talk all about her somewhat legacy enhancement to Dungeons & Dragons. Then we'll see what's on Kickstarter. Last but not least, some exciting giveaways coming up, which will be posted within the show notes sometime today. So stay tuned so you can listen for details at the end of the show. You like games? Check. You like manga? Check. You like the 80s? Check. You're going to love this next sponsor. Double check. This episode is sponsored by Robotech Crisis Point. It's up for pre-order. Get some awesome exclusives by pre-ordering it today. In case you missed it, go give my interview with Dave, the designer and publisher, a listen by searching for Robotech Crisis Point on my website, GamerLeafGo.com. Then pre-order soon, because when they run out of exclusives, they run out. If you're anything like me and have been tasked with writing adventures for your role-playing group, you're probably in a scramble the night or hour before your role-playing game nights, trying to come up with exactly how you're gonna slaughter your players. Not anymore! This episode is powered by the new Dungeons & Dragons Mystery Box that's currently on Kickstarter. Jennifer is building a custom 5e Dungeons & Dragons storyline. It will be a mystery, even to the Dungeon Master. This will be a new story with sealed envelopes for the Game Master that will be opened when entering a new area, with either a mystery to solve in the room, creature to attack, NPCs, or puzzles. The player's guide will have each room description available with room for the Dungeon Master to be able to adjust accordingly, or it can be read exactly for new Dungeon Masters. It is preset for players levels 1 through 20. Want to know more? Then I'd keep listening to this episode, as I figured Jennifer would be able to do more justice than I would alone. Reminder to hang on until after we talk and after Kickstarter Corner to find out about some of our giveaways we're doing over there at thegiveawaygeek.com. Plus, they'll be mentioned in the show notes, but why not hear them here on this episode of this podcast that I know you've come to love.
Getting Geeky with Gamer Leaf, the podcast in which one man strives to level up his geekhood and helping you do the same, one battle at a time. Now, let's get geeky with Gamer Leaf.
Welcome to Getting Geeky with Gamerleaf. Today we're joined for a special treat. You've heard of Dungeons & Dragons. You've perhaps played it or other role-playing games like it. Well, there's always different campaigns and settings and different things on Kickstarter. But recently I found something that was quite different. The Dungeons & Dragons Mystery Box. And today we're lucky enough to have on the creator and mastermind behind that. Is that right, Jennifer? Is that how you fall in line with the Dungeons & Dragons Mystery Box?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us on Getting Geeky with Gamerleaf. We really appreciate it, Jennifer.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
No problem. Now, before we get into talking about this new thing you've created for Kickstarter, let's rewind a little bit. How did you get started into playing Let's see, let me start again. Yeah, before we get into talking about your campaign, let's rewind a little bit. How did you get into playing tabletop board games and or role-playing games? Is it mainly role-playing games you're into?
Yes and no. It's a mixture of more tabletop than role-playing, but I did originally start out role-playing. I've done a lot of what's called the SCA, Society for Creative Anachronism, which is a representation of replaying like the 1600s, but accurately. I've also done a lot of storytelling. I've started and written a couple of books that kind of got into the role-playing genre stuff.
Oh, cool. Are they like what do you call it? Fiction or nonfiction books?
Mostly, well, there's a little bit of both. I've been writing since I was about 15. And most recently has been more of the nonfiction style, though with some fiction thrown into it.
Okay, cool, awesome. And are those available? Like, if somebody wanted to find them, are they available like on Amazon or something?
Not right now, but I'm actually planning to put a couple of them up on Amazon, self-publish. Most of what I do has always been for my kids. So any of my writing, my books, stuff like that has always been for the kids, something to give them to pass on generations, stories to tell, things like that.
Well, that sounds like pretty cool. And most recently, you wrote something in the world of role-playing games. What can you tell us about Dungeons and Dragons: The Mystery Box?
Well, originally my family has come from playing Dungeons and Dragons most of their lives. My husband grew up with it, my son, friends of ours, things like that. And I only recently got into actually playing the tabletop version of Dungeons and Dragons. I've played online games, I've done all kinds of other stuff, real life games, things like that. And when we got started, I really didn't have a big interest in playing as a character because it just didn't call on me. But my kids wanted to play and learn. And so my husband convinced me to learn to dungeon master a game. And my first game didn't go badly, went pretty decent, but it didn't go great. Because I had been studying everything I could, I read everything I could, and it wasn't until I actually did it that I found and fell in love with the storytelling aspect of Dungeons & Dragons. By the second game and then the third game, I really got into it. I love being able to tell the story, watching them react, seeing how they'll react to different situations, improving when a situation arrives. They'll do something or they'll ask a question I wasn't prepared for, and being able to figure out a way to respond to it without just kind of stuttering. And from there, it just progressed to being able to play in different ways and aspects and watching how others played.
Oh, okay, and that's kind of how you came. So, in regards to that, playing and being thrown in as a DM or GM, as what it sounds like happened to you, was there a certain campaign that's your favorite, or certain Dungeons and Dragons game that you liked the best?
When we did the Mines of Phandelver, that's what really made me fall in love with the game. We had so many laughs and so many days during that one that my husband and daughter actually got nicknamed the Murder Twins, which now they are, constantly living under because of that campaign. It took a very basic campaign meant for very beginning players, and they had so much fun with it. It just created lasting memories that we loved, and I will never forget that campaign.
Well, that's good to hear. And it sounds like you've made somewhat of your own campaign. And no, we don't want to give any spoilers, but what's exactly up with the Dungeons and Dragons Mystery Box? What is it?
Well, the Mystery Box is just a Dungeons and Dragons campaign that's been changed slightly. With the box, you're going to get a campaign just like any other campaign, but with a slight twist. The story's going to be that where anybody that's played Dungeons and Dragons before knows that you go through the story. There's sections in there where you'll have a bunch of different rooms available to you. So let's say, for example, they're walking into a map and they decide they want to go into this room instead of that room. Well, in the book, everything's already pre-written out, so you kind of know what to expect in there. You kind of know what's going to be thrown at them, and you just have to kind of give it to them in your own words, or you can even read it directly from the book. In my case, that's all fun and dandy and everything, but it can get kind of old for the game master, especially if you have a crew of people that don't really interact as thoroughly as you'd like them to. They don't explore as much as you'd like them to. And so it kind of makes it for the dungeon master a little less fun because they're just kind of reading the story out and letting people go through the motions, and it takes away from the game somewhat. And I've had incidents like that. So I decided, okay, what we'll do is we'll put the lead up to each room in there. And then when they decide they want to go into room A or room B, you don't have everything in the book right there in front of you of what they're going to see. You pull a card. So as a dungeon master, you have no idea what's coming up next. You don't know what they're going to walk into. You pull a card, you open it up, the envelope, and you get to see, well, there might be a trap, or there might be a monster, or there might be some kind of puzzle. And it gives you something to work with. So it doesn't take away from the original D&D version of how to play. It just adds a little bit of a twist in there that gives the dungeon master a little more to work with. And for a brand new dungeon master, one that's never played before, never dungeon mastered, it could be very daunting trying to start. This gives them that whole walkthrough and gives them something to work with, to improv with, that they might not have had before. And so this box is going to give them the book, the map, little bit player pieces, everything they need to run a game from start to finish, whether their players are first level or 20th level.
Okay, awesome. And it sounds like it gives them a added element of surprise as well, not just the players.
Yep, it makes it so that most dungeon masters that play a dungeon master because they want to and love it, like having things be different. I've seen Matt Mercer many times on Critical Role where he's walking through a thing with his players and suddenly they do something he wasn't expecting and he ends up ripping up his sheet and throwing it over his shoulder because they just went a completely different route than what he was expecting. I've heard him talk about times where he wrote this whole big thing out and they made a Left at Albuquerque on him and he had to improv from scratch. This will allow people that are new dungeon masters to have that kind of fun with their players and not have to improv straight out of their head and think of something new. And it also allows dungeon masters that have never done it before to give them a little bit of help with the improv that they might not have been used to.
Okay, that sounds pretty cool. So that's awesome. And you said they're going to get a book. Is that like a settings book that comes with it?
It's going to be a campaign. It's with the campaigns, if you've never done it before, it gives you a story that you start to read from. You can either read it from scratch, directly out of the book, word for word, or you can read through what's coming up and give the setting to the players directly. So it'll walk them through, okay, you're walking up to this area. This is what you see in the area, whether there's trees or it's in a house or a building or people around. And it kind of walks you through the story. And then it gets to a point where something changes in the story. And that's where the cards come in. Because they could walk into a cave and there's nothing there, or they could walk into a cave and there's a trap they fall through or a monster sitting there.
Okay, and is it all is cards that they pull out that tells them what's there?
Yeah, the book will lead them up into certain areas, but the book will say, okay, pull a card here or an envelope. The envelopes are just to be sealed. Inside the envelope itself will be a card that they pull out that'll have some information. One side of the card will be the actual what's in that particular room. And since it'll be generic to any room, it won't say, okay, you see, chairs or trees or anything, because that wouldn't fit very well. It'll just say, okay, you've walked into this room. The campaign book tells you what's in the room already. The card will say, okay, there was monsters there, or there's a, trap on the ground, or there's, this, or a person sitting there and you have to go talk to them. On the back of the card, if you're a brand new dungeon master, it's going to have clues and stuff like, okay, there's a person sitting there, have them roll for this or have them roll for that based on what kind of interaction they want to have with the person. Or if it's a trap, it's a magical trap, so anybody that's magical, make them roll for this to see if they even recognize the trap or not. And gives them a little bit of a walkthrough clue of what to do.
Okay, that sounds pretty cool. And is all of this going to come in a treasure chest-like box that I see on your page?
Yeah, what's going to happen is anybody that gets the very basic box, that's just going to be a plain old cardboard box with all the parts in it that they need to run the story. Those that want to invest a little bit more, starting at the higher donation sets, are going to get an actual chest, a wooden chest that's going to be about 12-ish inches by 10, enough to put the book in, the vinyl mat, and all the other pieces. It's not going to be this tiny little thing. Everything will fit in the one box, one crate. And that's what they will get. Those at the even higher levels can even pick different designs that are going to be on it, whether they want a picture of the vault on the front, or if they want like a D20 dice on the front, or something along that lines that could be engraved.
Oh, okay, pretty cool, awesome. Yeah, so it sounds really fun. It reminds me of a lot of some people in board games, they have all these legacy games, which are a game that changes as you go, or that you something similar to the where you pull the card out where you don't necessarily know what's going to happen until it happens. So that I really like that element. That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, from what I've seen, it's I never had a chance of playing the legacy games. I wish I had, but yeah, it sounds a lot like it might be a lot like that. I think it would be. It just makes a new interesting aspect to playing Dungeons and Dragons, because the game's been around for 50 plus years, and it's still a well loved, highly run game. It's just about having new aspects to make it even more interesting, change it up some, do new things for those that have been playing for a long time.
Awesome, most definitely. Now, during play testing of the mystery box, was there ever anything that you guys had to scrap because it just wouldn't work for it?
We haven't really scrapped anything specifically. My friend Mikhail, who's doing most of the story writing himself, he's been playing and writing for the last 15 years. The main story is his idea, and we've been working together to collaborate it. He started with using basic playing cards. If a certain suit came up, the monster appeared. If a different suit came up, this appeared. And based on the number of the suit would be how many monsters or things like that. Taking and merging that with my idea, and keeping it very simple. With something like this, you really can't get extravagant with what's going on, because otherwise you'll find times where it just won't blend at all. There's no way to make it work properly, and you can't account for every situation out there. Dungeons and Dragons is all about the story and the experience, not about, say, like Monopoly, where you have to follow a certain logic the whole way through. So we wanted to create something and keep it simple that would allow them to work no matter what situation you're in. So by keeping it simple, we've been able to merge and work well, not have to completely throw anything out that just won't work.
Awesome, that's really cool. And when it comes to the Dungeons and Dragons mystery box, what would you say you're most proud of, Jennifer?
I really love the idea that we're able to put together a story that isn't out there already in books. We didn't take a story and change it up slightly. The settings, things like that, wizards' towers, they've all always existed. But this particular story is brand new, and one that we actually have plans to be able to expand on in a way that can keep going for a long time. I fell in love with the story, and that's what I'm most proud of, is just the ability to be able to put this in writing in a way that I think so many other people will love too.
Awesome. That's what we love about games, their story element. And it talked to storyline, so I wondered about that. So it's not just going to be a one and done campaign, but you're going to continue the story later on?
Actually, we're most of the way through this campaign and already have ideas and plans for a expansion for it, and maybe even eventually expanding it into a full world, not just a city setting.
Oh, okay, awesome. And they talk of what is it? A vault? No, it's not a vault. Is it what do they talk of in your thing? Yeah, the vault. What is a vault exactly?
Well, the vault is the tower specifically. There is a vault hidden in the tower that nobody has been able to get into yet. And it has an unknown treasure, but a treasure of significant finding. And the whole vault is about going through the tower and finding your way into this vault through all the puzzles and mysteries and mazes that are in there.
Okay, awesome. And speaking of the vault itself, you're actually doing a giveaway with us over at thegiveawaygeek.com, aren't you?
Yes, I am. We are having a recreation of the vault that's going to be just big enough to use as part of the story. If you buy the story itself, you can use it as a shelf thing to if you really like the story. But what it'll do is it's about 11 to 12 inches high, and it can be used in conjunction with the map. So when you're going through the story, it can sit there as like a representation of the vault itself. It won't open up or anything. It's just going to be a model. But like many of us that love our games, we love having those models there of whether it's the vault or walls for our dungeon or things like that. And it's to be a part of it so whoever wins that one will get a free copy of the vault, and second place will be able to get a set of dice to go with it.
Awesome, most definitely, yeah. And so that's really cool that you're able to team up with us to do that, and so they can add that to their gaming element. I know my son, he doesn't necessarily do the role-playing games yet. Hopefully we'll be able to get more into that, but he's been playing with the Army guys recently, and I bet he'd love to have something like that. It's like the different terrain and stuff where he can have his Army guys.
Yeah, actually, the maps would work that way too for kids, because being a vinyl mat, it could be spilled on, it could be stepped on, and everything else. And with it having different terrains in it, because it's going to have two-sided. One side's going to have the outside terrain, one side's going to have the in-tower vault terrain that they can go through, and he can use it for like the outside terrain to put all his little army men on and set up his own little world.
Oh, there you go. Awesome. And so vinyl mats. Yeah, we're big fanatics of gaming mats. We have a bunch of different mats for different games here. So that's awesome. That'll come with the mystery box as well.
Yes, it does. The vinyl mat and the dice are part of the set to go together.
Awesome. And is that do you have to go for the specialty box, or is that at the basic box level as well?
The basic box will have the vinyl mat in it, but not the dice. The upper ones will have the dice.
Okay, awesome. Awesome, most definitely. Yeah, everything you talked to me about, I love thus far. But when it comes to Dungeons and Dragons Mystery Box, what makes this Kickstarter campaign, pop as one my audience should go check out, and if they like what they see, back it on Kickstarter, Jennifer?
Well, this is gonna give them an aspect that some people may have thought of before but never actually done or tried or didn't know a way to implement, and it will give them just a new experience that they should absolutely end up loving, because with Dungeons and Dragons, there's so many stories out there, so many things, and this will really give them something fun and new to try. And the cards that are being used can actually be used on other campaigns too. It doesn't have to be this campaign only. So they'll be able to be reusable. They get a different campaign, say one of the ones that have the Drow in it, or the Mines of Fendalver. If they decide to go that way, they can reuse these cards on other campaigns and experience new things there too. They can be reused as many times as they want.
Okay, so reusing the cards, does that add to replayability? Like, can I do this campaign and will it change if I go back in and play a different way? Or
Oh, definitely. You can redo this campaign 10 times, and by mixing up the cards with the envelopes and pulling them differently, it'll change up the story for you on how you experience and what you do and how you react to things.
okay, even better. So that's awesome. And where did you get the inspiration for the mystery box, Jennifer?
That was just my idea of, I'm always looking for new ways to change things up. I fell in love with Dungeons & Dragons, like I said, as telling the story, and I just wanted new ways to tell the story. I wanted to build it. You buy a campaign right now, you play it, and for the most part, most people don't want to replay that campaign because they kind of know what's coming up, they kind of know what's going to happen, and it would get old. And so you're constantly buying new campaigns to keep going into new stories. And those can get costly, anywhere from $10 to $30, depending on the campaign. This campaign would allow people, especially those with kids, to play it, replay it, and replay it again without having to buy anything new, and have it told a little different each and every time.
Well, there you go. Awesome. Yeah, so not as heavy on the wallet, so that's awesome. And we'll make sure we leave all the links in the show notes so they can easily click on over to both check out the giveaway as well as the Kickstarter that's going on currently. Now, mine has come into your hometown to stalk you. How would people go about keeping up with you online and other stuff you might have coming up in Dungeons and Dragons and whatnot later on, Jennifer?
Well, they can follow me on the Kickstarter if they go over there. I've also set up a Facebook page recently at facebook.com/D&D Mystery Box. And I will be keeping updates posted there of what's going on with this current box, as well as any other expansions. And after having gotten started on most of this, we're actually looking at turning the campaign into a story and making books out of it.
Oh, there you go.
And so that will be posted there too.
So that's pretty cool. So speaking of what's coming up next, so it sounds like that's what's going to be coming up next for you, making them into stories.
Yep, actually, once we finish getting this box up and running and out the door, even though we've set a June date, we're hoping to have it out by December or January. I just put the June date in case we had any problems with any of our deliveries or people that we got to get some of our items from. We're actually looking at getting the expansion finished and produced as well and sent out. And then I will be probably this summer taking the story, the campaign itself, and turning it into an actual fantasy book that we will be producing.
Oh, okay, cool. That's awesome. Yeah, like you said, putting a later date on there so you don't overpromise and underdeliver, that's always good. And then just make sure you're communicating with your backer. So that's great.
Yeah, we're trying to decide if we're going to turn the book into just a regular book or a kind of like the old style choose your own adventure within it.
Oh, cool. Awesome. Yeah, either way you go, it looks like it's going to be awesome, especially with everything you have going on with making a campaign or campaign of D&D that is more replayable than the others. So that's awesome. And it sounds like you can use the cards in other campaigns as well that they already have. So that's awesome. Yeah, so we don't want to keep you all day, Jennifer, but we really appreciate you coming on Getting Geeky with Gamer Leaf with us today to talk all about Dungeons and Dragons Mystery Box that is going to be on Kickstarter through the 20th of May. We really appreciate it.
I really appreciate you having me here. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Gamer Leaf levels up.
Well, that was a fun interview. If you want to add this new arsenal to your role-playing game capacities, make sure you click the link in the show notes and back their campaign. Let's take a walk, not to the corner store, but to Kickstarter Corner.
What is this place? What is it doing here in the Leaves computer? Oh, it's Kickstarter Corner with the Leaves.
Did you catch our episode on Tuesday the 22nd of April? No? Well, go back and give it a listen. We sat down with Kirsty and Sherman to talk all about Endless Realms, Tome of Spirits, which sounds like an awesome resource to add to your role-playing game arsenal. As well, I really love the art. You can easily access the interview by scrolling down near the bottom of their Kickstarter campaign page. Give it a listen. Check out the Kickstarter and then back it before Thursday the 23rd of May. Truth be told, I always wanted to grow a mullet. But anytime I grow my hair out, it goes straight up into a fro instead of a mullet. I love the 80s too, so imagine my geeking out when I found Moles with Mullets, a card game, on Kickstarter. It's a fun 80s music themed card game, but with moles, for up to 4 players. Their goals, not outlandish, and if you ever wondered what it was like to be a mole in the 1900s in a rock band, you're not going to want to miss Moles with Mullets. Check out their campaign and back it before Friday the 17th of May like I did. Need a new movie making game that is also a worker placement? We've got the game for you. Check out Movie Empire. Find out more about it by giving my interview with Karsten a listen. See their update entitled Day 8, the game is on. We're at the very bottom under media links. And then go ahead and back their game. But don't dilly-dally, you want to make sure you do that before Thursday the 25th of April. It's already going to be a reality, so why not add it to your tabletop? Your kids are losing way too many dice. Plus, you want to be the coolest one on the block when it comes to rolling and storing your dice? Then you're going to need the Nomad's Magnetic Dice Tower by Master Monk. It's a magnetic dice tower featuring handcrafted inlays and a unique design that works with the Nomad's armory. It folds down nicely and is held together by earth magnets. The audio alone just doesn't cut it. I'd encourage you to jump on over and check out their Kickstarter page, as well as giving my interview with the creator to listen. Find it in my episode entitled Be the Coolest One on the Block with the Nomad's Magnetic Dice Tower, or find it in their update entitled Interview with Gamerleaf, and our next live stream this Saturday. Shard Hunters, the card game. It's simple and dynamic gameplay, exclusive artwork, love dark fantasy games but don't have much time? Then this 20-minute game is for you. Some things about the game: actions happen simultaneously, no handicap for new players, no stealing, no player elimination, and monster cards are completely language independent. Plus, the art is amazing. Jump on over and check out their Kickstarter campaign and back it before Friday the 10th of May. If I got asked who's your favorite designer that if you could, you'd want all their games, that's easy. Hands down, I'd say Ta-Te Wu. He's back. This time, it's a game that uses my favorite mechanics of deck building in Promenade, the game of impressionist art, in which you become the most prestigious painting collector in a 2 to 4 player economic deck building game of impressionistic art. Players are art collectors, and the goal is to manipulate marketing value by acquiring and exhibiting impressionistic paintings. Players receive points by exhibiting paintings from their hand and additional points from the paintings and gold in their collection at the end of the game. When the game ends, the player with the most victory points wins the game. Go check it out and back the Kickstarter before Sunday, May 12th. Plus, you can go and search on my website for Promenade, and you should be able to find the episode that way. You enter the unknown dungeon as the hunter. Turn by turn, the dungeon reveals itself to your party. You must adapt to your strategy. Choose when to forge ahead or when to step back and regroup. The dungeon can be unforgiving, and even in competitive play, you might find it necessary to forge alliances to survive. Your team makes noise as they explore. The more noise they make, the more they risk awakening the dark evil that lurks within. Soon you realize that you have become the hunted. Sound familiar? Not my fault. You missed the Dungeons of Infinity on Kickstarter? Yes, that was my fault. Well, I'm here to mend my mistakes, to let you know we're not too late. If you missed the campaign, don't dismay. Click the link in my show notes to show your support and not have to be worried if it won't reach its funding goal, because it's already been done for you on the Kickstarter. Dungeons of Infinity is a board game for 1 to 5 players set in a mythical kingdom ruled by King Armiger. His land is full of dungeons built in the distant past. He recruits teams of heroes to delve into many dungeons to free the land from the evils that lie within. Head on over and make your pledge today by clicking the link in the show notes before you miss it yet again. But this time it won't be my fault. Just like the next guy, I love a good board game. I also love to dress with class, so imagine my surprise when I found this next one on Kickstarter. Board Game Neckties by Tactical Meeple Depot, allowing us to geek out when we dress up. They have partnered with a number of your favorite publishers and are in talks with even more to bring us designs based on some of their greatest known games. Each is officially licensed and is designed with the actual illustrations and graphics from the games we love. Take a look at the current roster of available designs, all starting at just $18 on their Kickstarter page. Anywhere from Scythe, Mystic Veil to Smash Up, plus many others. To sweeten the deal, we have teamed up with Tactical Meeple Depot on our other site, thegiveawaygeek.com, to bring y'all an awesome giveaway. One person will win 3 ties, including Roll for Your Life, Candyman, Space Base, and a Meeple tie. If the Kickstarter project reaches its funding goal, another person will win 2 of those ties that they choose, and another winner will win one of those ties of their choice. Go check out the giveaway at thegiveawaygeek.com and check out their Kickstarter, and let's make this a reality. If you want to hear more from Tactical Meeple Depot, go give my interview with Gilbert a listen. It's easily accessible in their Kickstarter update entitled Over Halfway There, an interview with GamerLeaf. Give it a listen. Check out the campaign and giveaway and back the coolest ties out there before Thursday the 2nd of May. Last but not least is Titana Machina, which is a crunchy giant robot brawl that reminds me of Rampage, the video game, minus the dexterity, but with cool robots. They're also doing a giveaway at thegiveawaygeek.com. Can't figure out how to pronounce the name of the game? Me neither, so I just asked in my interview with Robert. Go give that a listen in my interview with him. It's easily accessed by going to their Kickstarter page entitled, How Do You Pronounce This Word? Tachina Machina. Go listen and check out their Kickstarter and the giveaway and back the campaign before May 20th. Now what y'all have been waiting for. As stated by Jennifer, she's doing a giveaway with us over there at thegiveawaygeek.com for the $120 tower as well as a set of dice. I'll have the entry form at the bottom of the show notes for your convenience. And last but not least, yesterday on Amazon, this was #1 in new board games, but we've teamed up with our friend, the Unfiltered Gamer, to bring one lucky winner a copy of Hasbro Gaming Stranger Things Dungeons & Dragons role-playing game starter set, which I will get the giveaway set up sometime today and also leave the entry form on the bottom of these show notes. So if you're listening later on, or before it's up there, make sure you jump on over so you can find out when it goes live, or you just follow us on Facebook. Plus, you can always go on over to our other site, thegiveawaygeek.com, as well to see all our giveaways and enter there. It's our least favorite time, and yours too. Time for us to get on with our lives and you to get on with yours. We'll go ahead and let you get on with what you had planned for the day. But in the meantime, before next time, I hope you'll go ahead and get geeky, stay geeky, and bring others into the Geekfold by sharing this podcast with them and our giveaways over at thegiveawaygeek.com. GamerLeaf out.
GamerLeaf levels up. Tune in next week to see if GamerLeaf's luck holds up.